To buses. The local trolley line in Biddeford was the Biddeford and Saco Railroad, and this was one of its trolleys that I'll tell you more about in a moment. This was a very popular line for trolley enthusiasts like us for a lot of reasons, but one of the big reasons was the fact that they ran open cars out to Old Orchard Beach, and the fact that the fare was 5 cents. That's an example of how practical Mainers can be. Those of you that live in or vacation in this part of Maine, you're looking at the reason why trolleys came to this way. The Atlantic Shoreline's line came in about where you came in our front entrance today and went north to Biddeford, and that's what some of our traffic is built on. All right, we have trolleys that did more than just carry people. This is car number 108, and I have to explain the letter mailbox, the letter slot in the back end of the car. You could walk up and drop a letter right in there if the car was in your town. Anybody from Boston or the immediate Boston area? I would certainly hope so. Okay. This is car 5821. Boston had a very complicated way of identifying all over the Boston system. Anybody from Connecticut in the crowd today? All right. Keep your hands up if you're from the New Haven area or reasonably close. All right. Here comes one of our more recent restoration projects. This is number 1160. This is anybody from our nation's capital in the audience today, Washington, D.C. All right, this is also a recent restoration project, and I'll explain the unusual colors in a minute. This is car 1304. Anybody in the crowd from the Milwaukee area? How about Chicago? Okay, because this will handle both of those cities. Back in the day, there were 3 major, what we run around interurban red hat is Tom LaRoche. He's our parade dispatcher, and it's his job to get the cars down here on time. So we'll give him a big round of applause at the end. All right, anybody from Minneapolis, excuse me. All right, how about St. Paul? All right, this is from both. But this is one of our open cars. This is the first time this car has been out in several years. It just was released by the shop this morning. This is car 838 from New Haven, Connecticut, built in 1905.
Can you lean out a little bit further?
The roof is very typical of what railroad coaches would have been like in the day, so it's said to have a railroad roof. We're going to be bringing another open car in with it, and I'll tell you another part of the story in just a moment. But the car has been in the shop now for several years, undergoing a re-restoration, including being fully repainted. There is an interesting twist with this car. It is from New Haven, and we have a gentleman who lives nearby that once lived there and remembered riding these cars when he was a student down there. So we invited him up with his family and gave him a chance to run the car. Mr. Bush turned out to be a very competent trolley operator. That's George H.W. Bush, and this was the car that he operated that day. Now, coming from the other direction is another car from the same city. Oh, I forgot, Elliot Kaplan, who is our motorman, is our superintendent of railway operations, and a passenger car of that time inside that he would have operated. But it's our movie star car. It was used again in the 1970s by the Children's Television Workshop for a program they did at the time. It's been back in our shop recently, and among the things we've restored was the sign. And four-sided sign, the motorman would use a little wooden pole to turn it to whatever the correct destinations were. And in the area today. This is the next car is from West Virginia. Anybody from that neck of the woods? All right. This is number 639 from Wheeling. It dates to 1924, and this is what would have been known in the industry at the time. Usually when the Secret Service detail is in town, we'll get a little response on the Texas. This is car number 434. Like the Cleveland car, this car is 100 years old this year, built in 1922. There were a number of transit lines in the United States that were. And this was one little part of it. You had the trolley cars and cars in our collection. It's just so delicate. This is the city of Manchester. This was the official car for the Manchester, New Hampshire Street Railway. The car was built in 1898. A CNA or somebody taking care of him who's coming in from a rest home. And he'd be hunched over, but he'd go for his trolley car. That was Mr. Buston. He passed away last fall at the ripe young age of 97. And we are forever indebted to Here Comes a Train from that line. The common theme here is working on the railroad. We're actually going to start on this end. More about it when it gets here. Car 4387. Anybody from the greater Boston area, particularly north of Boston? Okay. Oh, yes, Tom, we know you're... Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, 4387 and 4547. Don't take my trolley car away, Tom. It's from my home. I'm originally from Salem, Massachusetts, and that would have been my hometown line. And car 2 has had a whoops. But it came out of the whoops. Just the way the seats are done. It's like a movie theater. One behind the other. You had a good view as you went along. Now the idea was to be car always leads. Bringing up the end is the Liberty Bell. This is car 1030 of the Lehigh Valley Transit Company. This trolley company ran between Allentown, Pennsylvania, and the outskirts of the Philadelphia subway system. The car was built. It originally ran. Some of you can see the burnt orange seats. There are several of those, singles and doubles. There are tables and lamps. Sounds good to me. Ladies and gentlemen.